This week marked not only my first full week in Glens Falls, it was also the first week of school at St. Mary's St. Alphonsus Regional Catholic School, right there at the parish where I'm serving in Glens Falls. It's a school with about 200 students, grades pre-K to 8. So it's a nice-sized school. It's got a real vibrant spirit. And on the first day of school on Thursday, we started the day very early, before 7 a.m., on the curb, greeting the parents and the kids, some of whom were clinging to mommy's leg, didn't want to come in. And then at the end of the day, after things were finally wrapping up, I think it was 7 o'clock at night, I was talking to the principal, a woman with incredible education background. She has been in education for more than 30 years in just about every role you can imagine. And I asked her, in this school, are there a lot of helicopter parents? Now, you may be familiar with that term, helicopter parent. It refers to kind of a hovering spirit that some parents have over their kids. They make the kids think they're on their own, but they're actually watching every move from not far away, like a traffic copter. And so I asked, is that a dynamic here at the school? And she said, oh, Father, you're a little bit behind. We don't have helicopter parents anymore. We have lawnmower parents. It's a little different. Lawnmower parents want to mow a path in front of their child so that wherever they walk, it's smooth and clean and doesn't have any obstacles to it. And I think any of us who have children or have connection to parenting, we can understand why parents have that temptation to want to make everything smooth and clean for the path for our kids. But you can't do that all the time. Some things we have to do on our own. No lawnmower can go before us to make the way easier. It's been said that we are all God's children, but God doesn't have any grandchildren. Have you ever heard that before? What does that mean? God doesn't have any grandchildren? It means that faith isn't hereditary. Each of us has to do it on our own. People can model it well for us. They can teach us. They can offer us these opportunities. But in the end, it's up to you and it's up to me. When Jesus asks you, who do you say that I am? No one can answer for you. Father Joe's mother and my mother are both here right now. Our families are sitting right here before us. And you can't go to my mom or Father Joe's mom and ask, who do you say that Jesus is? Only we can answer that. And you can't come to Father Joe or Deacon Mike or me and ask us to answer for you. Each person has to answer that question on their own. No one can mow the path of faith before us. It's up to each one of us. So let's just check in for a moment. If Jesus asked you point blank, like he did today in the gospel, who do you say that I am? How would you answer that? What role do his teachings have in your life? How does his example touch your way of living? Who do you say he is? A lot of people say that they never realized how they would answer that question until their life got turned upside down, and then they learned quickly how they would answer. It was 20 years ago yesterday that Jimmy Dunn played hooky from work. He was the managing partner at Sandler, O'Neill & Dunn, an investment firm in New York City. And so he said, you know what, I work, who knows, 80 hours a week. Do you remember that day, September 11th, 2001? Do you remember how beautiful the weather was? He looked up at the sky, and he was going to go in for another crushing 16-hour day, and he said, nope, not today. I'm going to go play golf. And he called in, and they said, have a great day. Good for you. But everybody else who reported to work that day on the 104th floor of Tower 2 of the World Trade Center was lost in the attack, including Jimmy Dunn's best friend, including the other two managing partners, Sandler and O'Neill. He alone was left to run the firm. 76 of the employees died that day. 3 out of every 5. That night, he sat down and he had to come up with his top priorities for what he was going to do with just a shell of a business and all of these losses. And so he decided 3 things. The first thing was he was going to pay the full bonuses that all those employees who passed away had earned to their families. He wasn't going to short them any of the compensation that their loved one had worked for. Number 2, he was going to pay for the health insurance of the widow or widower and the children of those who died for 5 years straight. Now, for those of you who work in business, you know what an expense that is, how stressful that would be to provide those benefits. He said it's non-negotiable. We're going to pay for those. And number 3, any kid who lost a parent who worked in our business, we're going to send them to their first choice college for free, tuition fully paid. That was 20 years ago. So now, the 2-year-olds, the children who were 2 years old in 2001, they graduated college this May. They went to Syracuse, Cornell, Villanova, Boston College, and Notre Dame. And at the Notre Dame commencement this year, they invited Jimmy Dunn to give the commencement address. In his speech, which we'll post on social media because you won't believe how beautiful it is, he said that his mother told him she would have cleaned the bathrooms at Grand Central Station if that's what it took to put him through Catholic school. That's how much it meant to her, that he be formed that way. And so he went kindergarten through Notre Dame in Catholic schools. But he said he didn't know how much his education and his church going affected him. He didn't realize all the impact that it had until the day that 3 out of every 5 of his colleagues died in a single incident. He said, that was when I realized how I would answer, who do you say that I am? He's my everything. I didn't know it until I experienced the unthinkable. You know, you may hear that story and say, well, that's a remarkable exception to the rule. I mean, maybe there's a Jimmy Dunn out there, but that couldn't be me. But it happens more than you think. It happened to a woman from St. Patrick's in Ravenna this year. She was just at the 9:30 Mass and was shocked when she heard me tell the story to everyone. It was not long ago that she came up to me after Mass and said, before I go home, can you please anoint me? And I said, of course. And when I anointed her, I asked, what's wrong? She said, the doctor found a spot on my lung, and I can tell by the way he reacted, it's bad. He told me I have to go to St. Peter's for a full body scan. And Father, I'm a single mom, and I have a 16-year-old son. This can't be happening. Please, please pray. So I anointed her, and we prayed, and I prayed for her all week. And then I couldn't wait to see her at Mass the next weekend, and she was there with the most serene look on her face. And I asked, what happened? She said, I went to St. Peter's, and on my way to the appointment, I was shaking, I was so afraid. But I got into an elevator, and a little boy, about 8 or 9 years old, got in, and he was bald, and he was jaundiced. And I looked at the face of his mother, and I thought like a lightning bolt, if I could trade my life for his, I would. If I could take his spot, I would. She said, I never fully understood what Jesus meant when he said, if you want to save your life, you have to be willing to lose it. I never knew what that meant, but now I do. She said, it'll never be the same again. I said, did you have the scan? She said, yes. I said, what happened? She said, completely clear. If that seems like an extraordinary story, you can know that it can take any form at all, this kind of an event. Like the bishop saying, hey, can I talk to you later? When you're at a priest event for the diocese. Hey, can I talk to you a little later? And then the bishop tells you that he wants you to have a new assignment at a place you've never been, doing something you've never done with people you've never been with. And it's tempting when life throws you a curveball to say, all right, this is where I get off. This has been a nice ride, but I think this is my stop. I'll see you later. I think I've done all I can do here. Or you can hear Jesus asking, who do you say that I am? If you want to follow me, are you willing to pick up whatever's in the way, even if it's a cross? Are you willing to give away your life and realize that you wound up saving it? Each of us is going to be asked in big ways and small ways by life and by Jesus himself, who do you say that I am anyway? And that's where we might wish that we had a lawnmower parent to go in front of us, but it wouldn't do any good. No one can mow a path of faith in front of us. Faith is not something you can get in the genes from someone else. It's not hereditary. We are all God's children, but God has no grandchildren.